this course, we will be discussing about the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin, which is one of the important flagship program of the Ministry of Rural Development, Government of India. As part of the first resource of this module, we will understand the history of the rural housing in India and the key features of the PMAYG. The history of housing can be traced back to the public housing program started in the country for rehabilitation of refugees immediately after independence as part of the poverty alleviation initiatives. In 1957, as part of the community development movement, a village housing program was introduced for providing loans to individuals and cooperatives. Specific focus on rural housing in India was given through the National Rural Employment Program and Rural Landless Employment Guarantee Program for construction of houses for SCs and STs and freed bonded laborers. The full-fledged rural housing program, Indira Awas Yojana, was launched in June 1985 as a sub-scheme of RLEGP. Later, it was made part of the Jawahar Rozgar Yojana, which was launched in April 1989. Indira Awas Yojana was made an independent program with effect from 1st January 1996 to address the housing needs of the below poverty line households. In the former rural housing program or the IAY, the rural BPL households was considered as the beneficiaries. The house of 20 square meter unit size was considered under the program. Financial assistance of Rs 70,000 was given to the beneficiaries and for the beneficiaries from the difficult areas, hilly areas and IAP districts, it was fixed as Rs 75,000. Since the inception of IAY, more than 3.6 crore homes have been built. The performance audit by CAG conducted in 2014 raised various gaps and issues in the system of implementation of the IAY program. Some of the important aspects of the audit include non-assessment of the housing shortage, low quality of houses and technical supervision, weak mechanism of monitoring, lack of transparency in selection of beneficiaries, lack of coverage and non-availability of loans to the beneficiaries. Thus, the need for revamping the IAY was established based on the CAG audit. Therefore, PMAYG was launched to ensure more transparency and better monitoring. In order to address the gaps identified in the IAY program and to ensure the government's commitment of providing housing for all by 2022, the housing scheme was restructured into Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin from 1st April 2016. The estimation of housing shortage was carried out using various sources such as the Working Group on Rural Housing for 12th 5-year Plan, Census 2011 and the SECC 2011. Based on these data, it was aimed to construct over 2.95 crore houses by the year 2022 in 2 phases under the PMAYG program. The restructured PMAYG rural housing scheme has been expanded to cover all the people living in Kacha houses and the houseless in rural areas. The size of house unit has been increased to 25 square meter to include a dedicated hygienic cooking area. The financial assistance to beneficiaries has been increased to Rs 1.2 lakhs in plain areas and Rs 1.3 lakhs in hilly states, difficult areas and IAP districts. The funding pattern has also been changed in the revised program. It is kept as 60:40 share between center and state in plain areas, 90:10 for northeastern states, 2 Himalayan states, 1 Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir and 100% central share for Union Territories including the UT of Ladakh. In addition, there are few other major reforms introduced in the PMAYG scheme in order to make it more transparent and efficient. Some of them are creating a dedicated state nodal account, 100% dedicated beneficiary transfer, Awasoft based transactions and monitoring, evidence based progress monitoring using geotagged photographs, convergence with other schemes for providing improved amenities, ensuring quality of construction through rural mason trainings and PEHEL housing typologies, and introduction of healthy competitions among states through development of performance index and institution of annual awards for best performing states. Some of the salient features of PMAYG scheme are discussed in the following sections. In order to ensure coverage of vulnerable groups, category-wise earmarking of funds with 60% of funds earmarked for SCs and STs, 50% of funds for minorities, and at least 3% of the beneficiaries for the persons with disabilities have been suggested. The creation of dedicated PMUs for proper monitoring at the state, district, block and panchayat levels have been stressed in the guideline. Allotment of houses made jointly in the name of husband and wife to ensure equal right to the families and according high priority for provision of land to the landless beneficiaries is also included in the revised program. The other salient features of the scheme include creation of empowered committee headed by the Secretary Rural Development for monitoring the annual allocation, sanction of special projects and works in difficult areas. The scheme allows the construction of houses only by the beneficiary himself or herself as it does not permit involvement of contractors. Support to old and infirm or a person with disability in construction shall be provided through mason training programs or directly by the Gram Panchayats or through any ground functionary. Provision for special projects under the PMAYG program will be allotted up to 5% of annual budgetary allocation. The projects to be undertaken will focus on special cases aimed at providing assistance to families affected by natural hazards, law and order problems, settlement of families affected by international border issues, forest right acts, surrendered militants, occupational diseases, and also for new technology demonstrations. The administrative expenses under the PMAYG program has been restricted to IEC activities, social audit, setting up of PMU, conduct of assessment studies, construction of prototypes, sensitization of beneficiaries, etc., to make the program effective and limit the diversion of funds to other activities. The pictures of PMAYG houses constructed in some of the states can be seen in this slide. It can be seen that these houses have components such as proper roof, walls, doors and windows provided. In the PMAYG program, in order to assist the beneficiaries in building proper houses, the PEHEL compendium of house typologies have been developed with the help of UNDP and IIT Delhi. The details of the PEHEL housing design typologies are discussed in Module 3.